Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day life. Let's start with the video.
I have a rental that my brother has lived in since 2016 and currently pays $1,200 for monthly rent. He has 3 children, 18, 24, and 24. The oldest 2 live on their own and the 18-year-old is a senior in high school. He got married in December and moved his new wife and her 3 kids in. The issue is my niece does not like or get along with her step-siblings or stepmom. World War III broke out when her stepmom tried to take her room from her. Niece's room is a finished basement with its own living quarters and a separate entrance. Sister-in-law wanted it for her son who is 22 and still lives at home. My brother had not made a final decision and I really don't know which way he was leaning. My niece called me in tears and told me her stepmom told her that she would be giving up the basement and to accept it. I called my brother and told him I found it unacceptable that his wife was trying to take his daughter's room away and put her good-for-nothing son in there. He told me to mind my own god-dang business and hung up on me. I proceeded to email him and tell him that I was considering 2 options. I would raise his rent to $3,000 a month if my niece moved out, and I would mind my own god-dang business. Option 2, I evict all of them and my niece stays put and I mind my own god-dang business. I also told him I did not want his stepson living there at all. If he was there 30 days from now, I would start eviction proceedings. This got his attention, and he backed down completely. He was angry with me, his daughter, and angry with his wife, and he told sister-in-law to never mention it again and told his stepson to find his own place. Problem solved. I told my niece to call me if her stepmom caused her any trouble. My brother has gone and told other family members how I interfered, and if I just let him handle it, he would have resolved it himself. He says his marriage is now in the ditch, and no one is talking to each other now. Somehow, this is my fault? Did I involve myself when I shouldn't have? The only place where I think I might be an asshole is when I told him to kick his stepson out because this made issues worse with his wife. Edit. It's been brought up so much we are on a month-to-month and my state does not have rent control laws. We've always had a good relationship, so we have never had a lease. I never gave permission either in writing or verbally for him to move in his new family. I never said anything until my niece called me crying. I don't like the stepson because he is an entitled piece of shiz who was gunning for the basement because he thought that since he is older, he deserved more privacy. I called him a good-for-nothing because he has some crackpot belief system about working so he does not even work. I don't know any details of it because I did not care enough to learn about this crackpot philosophy. My brother called me this morning and said that he blamed himself for all of this, and he should have never delayed in telling his wife that her son could not have the basement. He was really busy with work and wanted to have an actual discussion versus just saying no. He did not expect his wife to tell his daughter that it was going to happen. He acknowledged it was a huge red flag and they will be getting marriage counseling. He said he made it abundantly clear she was to never, his words, approach his daughter about giving up her room and that no one was allowed in the basement unless they were invited by my niece. He is, as we speak, getting the silent treatment from wifey. He said when I called him, he just found out that his older adult kids FaceTimed his wife and really hurled some insults at her. Then they sent him some not-so-nice messages about betrayal and being a henpecked. Then I called and told him off, and he was really upset and felt attacked from all sides. He said he was very disappointed with the threats I made and wanted us to set up a time where we could talk more in depth and make some future decisions about the house. I blame the sister-in-law for this whole fiasco. She has been beat-checked though and knows better than to try and flex her muscles in my niece's home. That is where we currently stand. My brother might not be as spineless as I thought. I don't know how his marriage can survive. She made enemies with her kids. Not the asshole, you did the right thing. Far, far too often, people totally concede to their spouses and hurt their own children out of their selfish cowardice. I see it all the time. It's even more disgusting when it's to younger kids. If you can't put your kids first, then you shouldn't have had them. If you let your spouse put their kids before yours because of anything, you're a coward and in a toxic relationship. I'm so glad you did what you did. It was the right thing. You didn't let your brother's spouse run all over his daughters in favor of her own kid. Not the asshole. You were providing a low-rent solution for your brother. You called with a concern about his daughter still in school. His answer, cuss at you, and hang up on your attempt at a solution. I think you provided an excellent solution to his quandary. You gave him choices. He accepted one of them. Then he has the unmitigated gall to complain to your family about how he was treated? What about how his new wife was treating his own daughter, who was still in school? Congratulations on finding a great solution. I would suggest another one. Once your niece has moved on, raise his rent anyway, and let him have a taste of real responsibility instead of mooching off his brother. Next story. I, husband, usually make all the meals in the household. I told my wife I was going to make dinner tonight, but she said she was planning to. Well, okay, that's fine. So I go back to work on my laptop. She comes into the room and I ask her what she's making, and she says leftover roast chicken and spaghetti. Me, oh, you're going to make it with sauce? Her, no, she says just plain spaghetti. Me, okay, so why wouldn't you make some sauce for it? No one eats just plain spaghetti. Her, sure you can. Just eat it. What's wrong with eating plain spaghetti? I told her to do whatever, but I wouldn't serve her just plain spaghetti noodles. So I know it seems like maybe a dumb thing to get upset about, but she insisted on making dinner. By making dinner, she intended to warm up the roast chicken, which we got from Costco, and warm up the noodles, which were actually left over when I made us chicken carbonara. I was further frustrated because a few days ago, she agreed to make dinner while I spent the afternoon and early evening cleaning out the garage. That task wouldn't have allowed me time to prepare dinner. I entered the house tired and extremely hungry. It turns out she made food for herself and the kids. But she had planned for me to eat the leftover spaghetti with sauce and chicken that I had made the day before. It was still in the fridge and in the container, and I opened it to heat it up, and there was barely any pasta in there for a kid's meal, which meant I had to now prepare dinner for myself when I was already tired and hungry. She said she thought there had been more in the container. I did get upset, and I told her I wouldn't serve her plain noodles because when I make meals for her, I try my best to make something she'd like to eat all the time because I take pride in that. I told her it was insulting because it's like telling someone you'll make them pizza, but just serve them the crust. I don't know, that's not pizza, is it? I tried to have her see that she wouldn't serve her own sister plain spaghetti, but she insisted she would and had no problem with that. I honestly don't believe that. I told her that would be embarrassing. I can't tell whether she is being serious that she believes it's acceptable to serve people plain spaghetti or she's digging in her heels because she won't admit that she was just being lazy. To add, I got mad at my wife for serving me plain spaghetti noodles for dinner. Not sure if I should accept her belief that it is okay and socially acceptable to serve people plain spaghetti noodles for dinner, or if she's just being lazy and I should take it to be insulting behavior on her part. Do I need to be more understanding? Not the asshole, and I'm surprised so many people think OP is the asshole. Did no one else read the part about how she also agreed to cook dinner while he cleaned the garage, then proceeds to cook herself and the kids dinner and leave him with less than a serve of leftovers? Anyway, if he makes an effort to regularly cook decent meals for her, I'd be pissed too if my partner presented me with plain effing noodles and called it dinner. Not the asshole, and I'm shocked at anyone who says you are. Just add blah blah blah. That's making dinner. Wife insisted on making dinner. Reminds me of the story Stone Soup. As for heating up the leftovers, if she said she was going to make dinner, she should have. When my girlfriend and I started dating, we had very different tastes of what dinner actually was. She'd be happy with popcorn most nights, so I insist on a full meal. I would never consider plain noodles as dinner. Next story. I work in the film industry in LA as a production assistant on big budget shoots and as a cam op editor and many other roles on low budget productions. I've been doing PA work, creating videos for up and coming artists, small companies, and working on low budget films for about 2 years since I graduated from film school. I've been waiting for a big break in my career and had my shot at that ruined by family members yesterday. I was at my family's house where my mother's side of the family was with us for dinner. My phone was snatched out of my hands so my 9-year-old cousin could play games and not bug the people cooking. I was told to deal with it and I reluctantly agreed to avoid an argument. 10 minutes later, I heard my phone blowing up with texts and a FaceTime started coming in, but my cousin immediately declined the call. I told him to give it back, but he refused and ran to the bathroom and locked the door. I knocked on the bathroom door and kept pounding harder as he refused to open it. My mom told me to relax, but that only pissed me off because I literally had my property stolen from me to entertain a child while I was receiving calls. I hope to God that it wasn't anyone important, but lo and behold, when he came out and I snatched it back from him, not without him whining, "Hey!" It turned out to be the manager of a major artist I met and showed some of my work to, trying to reach out asking if I could shoot an impromptu video for this major artist that night. I tried to call him back, but he texted me that they found someone else. At this point, I was so angry and confronted them. The conversation went like this. Me, "Hey, remember how I told you I met artist's name manager at a party last week?" Mom, "Yeah, and?" Me, "Well, he was just trying to call me, but I was denied access to my phone because it was stolen from me and locked away to entertain cousin." Aunt, "Oh, come on. I really doubt he was trying to reach out to you. There's thousands of people who do your job in LA, but he called you over all of them?" Me, "Actually, he was, and he did reach out to me over all of them. I'd show you the call log and text, but your inability to parent your child is making me wonder if you also have an inability to raid." I was called disrespectful and was told to apologize. I snapped and screamed, "When I tell someone to give me my phone, that means give me my goddamn phone right now. I own it, I pay for it, I use it to communicate with friends with and for work. It is for me, not for a child to use, so his mother and aunt don't have to deal with him. You just cost me a big opportunity that I have been working at for years because of your laziness and this kid's entitlement." By the end of my rant, my cousin was crying. My mother and aunt were looking at me wide eyes and jaws hanging. I was told by my mom to get out and not come back until I was ready to apologize to everyone. Thing is, I don't plan on apologizing, so I guess I won't be going to see my family at that house anymore. Am I the asshole? I wouldn't have let my phone be taken away in the first place, especially letting them know I'm waiting for an important work call or something. But with what happened, you're not the asshole in my opinion. They deserve that yelling, honestly, and them still being mad at you and blaming you for it shows they didn't care or wanted to defend themselves for their awful behavior. Why didn't the aunt or your mom give their phones up? As someone who wants to be in the arts, I'd be so mad and would at least temporarily cut contact, or until they own up to their behavior. Oh, hell no, you're not the asshole. 100% not in the wrong here. Your family is disrespectful AF. Don't you even think about apologizing. They owe you an apology for screwing up your career over a kid who can't sit on the dinner table without electronic entertainment. They should have gotten a babysitter if they couldn't afford to give their apple dumpling their own phone or tablet. I'd have lost my shiz. They'd be cut off completely if I wasn't able to get another chance, which I can only guess isn't probable. I hope you're able to call back and explain what happened and not get screwed over. Next story. A little context. I'm a young woman, 25, in a male-dominated career path and office. I'm the only woman in ours. Our boss left and they didn't replace him. So got a consultant on 4 times his salary to watch things tick over as a senior officer, but who is not our boss. However, this elder lady, 60s, seems to think she is our boss due to her huge, publicly funded consultant salary. After working with her for a few months, she is also highly incompetent and doesn't know things a graduate would know. I am a young woman who has worked hard to get to my level at work, and it genuinely annoys me that this person has come in and is taking so much taxpayer money, whilst also doing such a bad job for the public. We are public sector. I've pointed out a few things a few times, and now she hates me. She actually calls herself the boss. How old-fashioned. And regularly tries to micromanage my work and act like my boss. She also seems to hate that I am the only other woman and is always trying to impress the men and be one of the boys. She regularly slams women, saying women can't drive, men are more competent, etc., which also annoys me hugely. She also took a bribe. I have written evidence, and when I reported it to her boss and mentioned it to colleagues, it was pushed under the rug. This obviously made her hate me more, but I could not stand anything when it's immoral and going to affect the public. Anyway, she is awful with technology, and we have a work group called WhatsApp. She must have sat watching my Skype status all day. We are work from home, and saw I was in a meeting with another colleague, saw my icon was red, i.e. in a meeting. The work meeting was 2 hours, and she then asked one of my colleagues to ask the other one I was in a meeting with to find out what we were talking about. She obviously meant to message this to him, but put it in a group chat instead. She then said in the group chat that I shouldn't be having meetings because I do no work. She deleted both messages, but I shortened them. I was absolutely enraged by this, as I do all the major projects and she sits on her ass and does absolutely nothing for over $100,000. Except from micromanaging and trying to spy on me, as she seems to have a vendetta against me. I reported her to her boss for this, along with other behavior which undermines me at work, creates a lack of trust, and is total slander and wholly untrue. It has shook my confidence that she has asked my colleagues to effectively spy on me and undermined my trust in my colleagues. In the disciplinary meeting, she cried and said she didn't mean to send the message to the group chat, as if that makes it okay. She was playing the victim to colleagues and kept using her age, 60s, to make out I'm just a rude young person, 20s, with no respect. And others have said it was harsh of me to report her. So, am I the asshole for calling her out to her boss and reporting her? Not the asshole. It doesn't sound like you're from the US. And I don't know the laws where you live, but in the US, a public sector employee absolutely has the ability and maybe even an obligation to report bribes or other illegal use of government funds. And if your boss is making disparaging comments about women in an attempt to create a hostile work environment, that's likely illegal under US law, even though she may be a woman. I talked to a lawyer about both of these things, but even if you don't want to, you have a right to harassment-free, whether it's based on sex or based on her just not liking you, workplace. And you have a right to, in good faith, report misuse of government funds. And even if her only action was telling subordinates that she believed you did not work, that's not appropriate either. Not the asshole. This woman is creating a hostile, sexist work environment. I guess my question to you is, how long are you going to subject yourself to it? When she accepted the bribe, that was enough to have her fired. And since that didn't happen, why are you still there? You have to understand that the company she works for is a contractor. It benefits them to have her there in the long run. They have no motivation to remove her. Unfortunately, when consultants have been in the industry for a long while, they build reputations based on who likes them enough to keep them around and not necessarily what they know. Your absence will make more of an impact if you're a major contributor to the team than continuing to stay there and work while she makes life hard for you.